Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Gina, and let's talk about plants. So in today's video, we are going to be taking a close look at a particular plant. Recently, I was contacted by Rev from Red Plants, and they asked me if I could do some plant care videos. And I was like, heck yeah, I can do that. Sounds like fun. And by the way, if you have certain videos you would like for me to do, feel free to contact me. Rev contacted me through Instagram. You can go that route, or you can leave a comment giving me suggestions, or even contact me through my email, thepinktrellis@gmail.com. That's an option as well. So yeah, give me ideas. I love them. So because of that request, it got me thinking, and I thought, well, maybe I could do, every now and then, do a video that highlights certain plants, and I'll go through the care for those plants, the maybe propagation methods of those plants. Yeah, it should be fun. So in today's video, we are going to be looking at manjula pothos, or Epipremnum aureum manjula. So why did I end up choosing this as my first one of these videos? Well, it's because this plant has been, it needs some attention. It needs a bit of attention. It has been growing wonderfully all summer long, and it needs propagating. And since I want to talk about propagating when I talk about these individual plants, this is the perfect candidate for that. So that is why manjula will be the first in the series of plant care videos. So a little background on this plant. So as I said, this is Epipremnum aureum. It is a cultivar, which means it's like man-made. It is not a plant you could go out into the jungles and find. It was actually made at the Florida University. They invented this plant, and it is a cross between the enjoy and the pearls and jade, which I didn't know that until I researched a bit for this video. I had no clue. So I am learning something in this, and hopefully you are learning something in these videos. All right, so I am going to attempt to take this down to show you guys. It is quite large. It weighs about, oh, I don't know, maybe 15 pounds. It's in this heavy ceramic pot, and this is a big mama here. All right, let me try and get situated here. Okay, my Epipremnum manjula has been with me for, I would say it's been with me for about 3 years. I got this in 2020, and the crazy thing is this plant started out as just a cutting, a rootless cutting, unrooted. I had to root it myself, and over time I just kept taking more and more cuttings from that, and I came up with this big giant beauty. So this window it sits in front of, this is an southeast facing window, and they do like bright indirect light. So the brighter the light you can give it, the better. You want to try and avoid direct sun on this plant because it will get burned. And I did notice I have some burned leaves on this because it does get some direct sunlight. It's more of a problem in the summertime because the sun is just more intense. So like in the winter, it's not an issue. And okay, scenery change because it was not comfortable in our last location. So we were talking about sunlight, light requirements for this plant, and I mentioned that it can get sunburned. Well, let me just show you an example of a bit of the plant that has some sun damage. So right there, you can see where it got burned. So try and keep it out of direct sunlight if you can. The plant will thank you for that. But like I said, in the wintertime, it really isn't quite as much of an issue because the sun just, at least in my home, the sun just where it hits the plant, it's not as intense. So yeah, I think that is it for like light requirements on the manjula. You guys should see, let me just try and show you all of this. Look at all this. All of that growth. Crazy. Okay, so let's talk about the watering needs of this plant. So these epipremnums, they like a good, especially if you have a mature plant like this, they love a good soaking. You want to soak this plant as thoroughly as you possibly can, and then wait till it's like 3 to 4 inches down, it's dry, and then you can water it again. So in my case, this plant, this very mature plant with a very extensive root system, it needs watering at least once a week. It probably would do even better if I did twice a week, but it does manage with just once a week. It's a very thirsty plant. So, but yeah, just, water it thoroughly, but make sure you're letting it dry out top 3-4 inches before you water it again. And that's pretty much it for, epipremnums are such easy care plants. They're absolutely wonderful, really prolific growing plants, and they're just the best and beautiful, and so beautiful. As far as humidity for this plant, it's not necessary. Of course, they're going to do better with a higher humidity. You can provide this plant, but it isn't necessary. My home does not get very much humidity. I live in Colorado, and we do not get a lot of humidity here. And as you can see, that does not make a bit of difference to this plant. It's perfectly fine, a perfectly fine grower. Okay, so there is something really fun I learned while getting ready to make this video for you guys. I was doing a little bit of research, and I did not know this, and maybe some of you didn't know this, or maybe you all knew this and I'm just an idiot. I don't know. But so I learned that when the manjula reverts, meaning when it loses its variegation like this and it starts turning all green, when it reverts, and I have a strand here that's reverted, it is known as, this is the global green. The global green is a reverted manjula. And if you look, hopefully you can see the global green, the patterning, like the look of the global green. It still has variegation, but it's just lighter. It's like light green and dark green variegation. So all this time, I didn't have a global green in my collection. And actually I do. I have a global green now in my collection. So I'm going to be propagating this plant. I'll show you guys how I propagate this plant. And yeah, I'm gonna have some global green in my collection. So that's I thought that was really fascinating. It's not really fascinating, but I just thought it was really neat. I didn't know that. Okay, so we're gonna get into the propagation part of this video. So I'm going to show you how I propagate this plant. So earlier in the video, when we first started, I mentioned that the reason I chose the manjula for this video is because it needs attention. So now this plant, through the summer, this plant looks absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous plant, but once winter hits, it starts looking pretty, in my experience, in my care, it starts looking kind of bad. It just doesn't look great. It starts getting yellow leaves, it starts losing leaves. So I am going to be preemptive about this, and I'm going to chop this plant very hard. I'm gonna chop it way back to like all of this, you guys. This is all going, it's all coming off, all of this. it's all going. And I'm going, of course, I'm not going to just throw this stuff away. I am going to propagate most of it and make some new plants out of it. But giving it a hard pruning like that is actually good for this plant because it needs a fresh start. It's a 3-year-old plant. It just needs some fresh growth, some new growth. And in the long run, it's going to be so much better for this plant. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start chopping up this plant. So I need to get all my supplies together and we'll cut it up together. All right, so I think I have all of my stuff together here. And I think you guys are, it's crooked. Is it crooked? It is. It's like going this way. Let me fix that. Okay, I think that's as good as I'm going to be able to get it. All right. So here we have our specimen, our very large manjula pothos, or Epipremnum aureum manjula. So I told you guys I'm going to be doing a really hard prune on this plant. So to make life easier for me, I am just going to, and I'm afraid to do it. It's such a beautiful plant. I hate cutting it up like this, but it's gonna grow back. They're fast growers, and winter's coming and it's gonna start looking not so beautiful anyway, so I might as well just do this, right? All right, let's just do it. So actually, I think my first cut is going to be on my reverted strand here, and I apologize, you guys are so far away, but so I am going to, so here's where it starts reverting. Like this leaf is okay, and this is the last leaf that actually has some variegation on it. And then this is the first leaf that's entirely green. So I'm going to chop it way up a little bit higher where it still has quite a bit of variegation. So I'm going to chop it right up, right there. There we go. Our first cut, you guys. This is our reverted strand, or our global green. This is our global green strand. And I'm going to set that aside back behind me there. So I'm just going to do that with like all of these strands, and I'm going to try and get it, see if I can get like some varying lengths of the plant. Like this one, I'm not going to chop. That one is fine. But like this one, this has like a section here of no leaves. So maybe I will just chop it way up here. It's kind of a, like down here, it's nice and full, but up here at the top, closer to the top, it's very empty. So I'm just going to chop it way up at the very top up here. And there we have a strand. Put this one on the floor, keep it away from our global green. And then this next strand here, I'm gonna have so much manjula on my hands. This is like two, this one branched off right here. So maybe, and once again, up at the top here, there's nothing. There's not much up here. So I think I'm going to, see it's just kind of plain and ugly up here. I think I'm going to chop this one right at the base here. And there's that one. Put that one on the ground. And then this next one, another one, pretty bare, all bare here at the top. Lots of leaves here at the bottom. So I am going to, once again, chop it pretty close at the soil level there. So I told you, I warned you guys I was going to be really chopping this one back. But just have to remember that it's going to grow again. And it's actually, like I said, it's good for the plant to do this. Even though it feels bad right here, it's good for the plant. So this one isn't quite as bare at the top, so I'm going to leave a little bit of length here and chop it right there. And basically we're just going to keep doing that. We're just going to go down the line of all these stems and chop it back. It's funny because I always feel the same way. I'm like, I don't really want to do this. I don't look forward to doing this, but then once it's all done, I'm like so happy I did it, because it always ends up looking so much better. Just like when I trimmed all my Scindapsus the other day, after I put the wallpaper up, it always looks so much better. It just looks better. Even though you love all that growth, all that plant growth, it's kind of like when you get a haircut yourself. You just feel like refreshed, like it's a new beginning. So it's kind of like how it is for these plants. Almost done. All right, so we've chopped. Look at the difference. Probably could have done even more than I did. But she will be going back on her platform, hanging back in the window. Look, it's not so bad. She's still a pretty sizable plant. And next summer, when it's growing season again, she should look pretty good again. And if not, which there's always the chance that that won't be the case. That hasn't been my experience, but you never know. But in that case, we're going to have a bunch of propagations of this plant. So yeah, so I'm going to put her back, and then we can start potting up our cuttings. All right, so there are two ways that you can propagate this plant. You can do water propagation, or you can propagate right into soil. So for some of this plant, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do some in water, and then I'm going to do quite a few. Got quite a few cups here. I'm sure I will go through all of those. Didn't really want that many pots of manjula. We'll see. We'll see how many of these little nodes I can fit into one of these little cups. And then the ones that are going to be in soil are going to go into my grow tent, and eventually they'll end up in my shop. In case you don't know, I have a shop, thepinktrellis.com, and I do sell plant propagations from my collection. It's like, I mean, how perfect is that? I love my plants. I propagate my plants. I put them in the shop, and I get to share with the world. Well, the U.S. I don't ship out of the U.S., sorry. But anyway, so that's the plan. So let me show you. So this is our growth pattern. It was growing down like this. So when you cut your plant, you want to make sure that it's facing the right direction in your pot. So we want this going up like this, because if we do it like this, your growth is going to be going down, although maybe it rights itself. I don't know. It probably would right itself, but just to make it easier on the plant, try and plant it the right side up. So yeah, so let's do our first cut. And so this is the bottom. The leaves are there's not like a whole lot of space in between nodes here for putting into your soil. This isn't a good one. This is not a good one to start with. Let's try another one. One with some more spacing in between. Okay, so here is up. This is up. New leaves coming out here at the top. So this is our bottom over here. All right, this is better. There's more space in between here. So let me show you where you're going to cut. So this is your node right here on your plant. This is where roots are going to come out of the plant. So we're going to chop right above that node, close to the leaf, because when new growth comes out, I'll show you. So let's make our cut. All right, so this is up. This is where your new growth is going to come out between this leaf and this cut stem here. And your roots are going to come out right here at that node. So let's get some soil. And I am using a chunky, like aeroid mixed soil, because that's just what I always use when I'm doing my pothos, my epipremnums, when I'm potting them. That's what I use. So it's just a chunky mix of regular potting soil, and I add pumice, and I add orchid bark, and my orchid bark has charcoal in it. If it didn't, I would add charcoal to it. And yeah, this is a nice mix. So then basically, you're gonna just stick your plant, just push it right in there. Just like that. I mean, how easy is that? So then we're gonna do a bunch of these, but then when you're done, you're gonna wet your soil. You wanna keep it moist for like at least 4 weeks. Keep this soil very moist, wet, so that those roots can grow. And the best thing you can do for it is give it a real humid environment while it's rooting. So mine's going into a grow tent, but if you don't have that, if you have like even like a Ziploc bag, a big Ziploc bag, you can put this in and just keep that, you want to try and keep that moisture in as much as possible, because the more humid these little cuttings have, the more humidity these cuttings have, the sooner they're going to root for you. So let's just do another one real quick. I'm not going to do a bunch on camera with you guys, because it's just the same thing over and over again. Then we're just going to stick it right in the soil. Just kind of bury it down in there. Let's do another one. And hopefully you can see where I'm cutting. Here's your node. We're right above the node we're cutting. This is going to be a really full pot when it's done, because I have so much I'm working with here, so many cuttings I'm working with, so many strands. I got a lot down here, guys. There's a ton. So even if some of these don't take, because they're not all going to take, but hopefully at least a few of them will, and eventually we'll end up with a really nice looking pot of Epipremnum manjula. I might even stick one or two more in there. Just like that. So I will water this, and then I am going to put it into my grow tent. And yeah, that's it. It's so easy, right? How easy is that? So easy. Now, I'm going to work on all of this off camera because it's just the same thing over and over anyway. And I'll show you them when I'm done. Here's our lovely pots of Epipremnum manjula, full pots, as you can see, quite full. I was able to stuff them pretty full. Hopefully they will be okay with that. So then I will take these to the sink, water them thoroughly so they're very moist, very wet, and then these will be going to the grow tent, to that humid environment that they really need to really help them to really kickstart that root growth in these. And this is the global green, very full. I just did one pot of that. I'm going to keep this one for myself. And so I have, let's see, got that one global green, and then I have one, oh, there's one popping out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pots of Epipremnum manjula. So hopefully these will all take, they'll all do really well. And like next spring, I'll have these in my shop for you guys. So best case scenario. So we'll see. Like I said, there's a chance that not all of these cuttings are going to take, but these are so packed full that we should get quite a few. So I really hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about the manjula pothos, or Epipremnum aureum manjula. Hopefully you learned something new. I know I learned something new in doing some research for this video. And if you enjoyed this, which I really hope you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. I do make new videos every week, and I'd love to have you here as part of this community. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really hope you have a fabulous week, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Bye.